All right, what's up, all my YouTubers? Chris Cornelius Jones coming to you again today. And I just have a very short one. Yes, we are continuing with our conversations with the atheists today. And for this video, we are going to assume that God does not exist. Let's just assume that very briefly. Okay, let's say, okay, atheist, you had it right the entire time. God doesn't exist. So with that assumption, I have a very important question for you. Okay? If God does not exist, will you please answer from your worldview this question? Here it is. One thing that we cannot deny is that humans, we all die. Okay? Doesn't matter how good you are, how bad you were, if you were a law-abiding citizen or you were one of the most atrocious rapists, okay? We are all headed the same direction. And as far as I understand, in the atheist worldview, when you die, that's it, because we don't have a soul in the atheist worldview. So when you die, that means we cease to exist forever. Okay? Now here's the question. With that being the case, there is no God and we all die and cease to exist. What that means is we all share the same fate. The question is, how is it fair? Explain to me, how is it just? How is it right that I or you who, let's say people in general, who are law-abiding citizens, people who live their life to try to help others, people who do good things, how is it fair that they share the same fate with Hitler? How is that right? You see, do you not know? Let's forget Hitler for a second. Do you not realize that there are people living today that are pedophiles, that rape children, okay? And they've never been caught. And they probably never will be caught because someone did not speak up. For whatever reason, they were afraid, for many whatever reasons. But there are so many pedophiles out there that should be registered as sex offenders, but will never be registered, will never be judged, will never go to jail because they didn't get caught. And these pedophiles who raped children over and over and over are going to share the same fate with, let's say, the fireman who lived his life saving lives, who risked his life saving lives. Let's say the people in the military who died for their country or died for an honorable cause. You mean to tell me that it doesn't really matter in the end how good you lived, whether you served others, or whether you lived a despicable, treacherous life by hurting others? Wherever category you're in, I'm using the deep ends of the spectrum here with these examples. Far left bad or far right good, whatever. The point is, whatever end of the spectrum you're on, you are in the same fate. You experience the same fate. Explain to me how that is right. How is that fair? To share for a person who lived a good life, raising, maybe they're a good father or a good mother, raising their kids, doing great things in the community, making a difference. They're going to end up in the same place as the murderer, as the rapist. Now, remember here, I am asking a question from an atheistic point of view, from a person who is conceding for a moment. Let's assume God does not exist. In this worldview, how is that fair? How is that right? With that said, that leads me to the next question. Since we all share the same fate, it doesn't matter how good you are, how bad you are, you're going to die and that's it. You cease to exist. So for these millions or billions of years, let's make a timeline of billions of years that this earth so-called existed in your worldview. We only live for 60 to 70 years. So we're just a fingernail and on a timeline spectrum of, all these years. What is it? Why does anything matter if that's the case? Because it doesn't matter what you do. You're going to die. You're going to cease to exist. And you're going to share the same fate as the worst of sinners. So with that said, the second question is, why does anything matter? How do you find meaning and purpose in this life? Because you can live the best life you could possibly live. For what? You're going to die. You're going to cease to exist, and that's it. And the thing about that is you don't even know when you're going to die. It's going to, see, there's an appointment that all of us have that you're never going to be late for. It's death. Okay? Whatever date you're supposed to die, that's the day you're going to die. You don't know if it's going to be today. You don't know if it's going to be tomorrow. You don't know how much longer you have left. You can die and be perfectly healthy and die in a car accident. So you don't know when you're going to die. None of us do. So what's the point of trying to live a moral life? For what? Why not just live it up, do, whatever I can to fulfill my lustly pleasures, regardless of who I hurt, regardless of who I run over, because in the end, it doesn't matter. I don't get anything for trying to be good. And there's no punishment if I was bad. Now you may say, well, that's a terrible way to live. Well, you might as, we should all just live to serve our fellow man because it's the right thing to do. Okay, but so what is my point? We're going to die, and then we're going to cease to exist forever. And then the people behind us, that'll be their job from that point on. But from your perspective, death is it. Death is all there is. That's our destiny. Death. Ceasing to exist forever. Why does anything matter? No matter what you do on this earth, you're going to die and then you cease to exist. Why? If that's the case, how do you find hope? I'm sorry, that is a miserable reality to me. How do you find hope? Now, you may say, well, it is what it is. You see, the hope I have in Christ, in the gospel, is not because I just really want it to be true to escape this dreadful thing called death. That's not why I believe. I believe because it is true. Okay? But that aside, because again, in this video, we are assuming that it's not true. We're assuming that God does not exist. Can you answer that question? I really want to know from your view in the comments, how do you find hope and purpose in life when we all just die and cease to exist? You're just a fingernail on a time spectrum of billions and billions of years. So what purpose do you find in that? Why does anything you do really matter? That's the second question. And then the first question again was, how is it just, how is it fair for the worst of sinners to share the same fate with those who live their life trying to do good for others? So those are the two questions. If you could really just contemplate those and let me know in the comments, and then we can engage in some discussion, I would appreciate that. So I'm going to leave you with that. Stay tuned. I got some more stuff for you coming up in the future. This is Cornelius Jones signing off. I love you guys in the Lord. You be blessed.